Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again with you on the 6th of July, 2023. I'm here with psychic medium and remote viewer Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
Good, thank you. Let's see how many feathers you can ruffle today.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know, I have to say, that Canadian probe, that was written by a Canadian, the Trudeau probe. That wasn't written by Mr. Shakespeare. That was written by one of our Canadians in the audience. She's very good, by the way. She's very intelligent. She's got more. There's more than just Trudeau. We have more to cover.
Right. Okay.
But they think you're the mastermind behind that one, Mr. Shakespeare.
Oh, that was one of the probes that was entered, request for probes that was entered on your website, and I pretty much took it all verbatim from there.
Yes. Now, please let everyone know, because most people outside of the UK will probably have no idea who Nigel Farage is.
So, Nigel Farage, years ago, used to be a banker. But he's been involved in politics for many years. He was a former member of the European Parliament, of which he was quite outspoken against the endless bureaucracy of the European EU and all the money that was wasted and everything. He was a member of the Brexit Party, founder member of what turned out to be the Brexit Party. He was instrumental in getting Brexit across the line. He's quite a good, he's probably, somebody was saying the other day, actually, in the last 10 years in British politics, he's probably the most effective politician we've had, even though he was never an actual MP or whatever. He's highly intelligent. He, I suppose there's an element of Britain first with him. But there's definitely an element of we want to be in Europe, but we don't want to be in the institution called the EU. And I think that is connected to the subject matter of why we're going to talk about him today, because recently he has had his bank account shut down. So, yeah, and apparently, well, we'll ask him in a minute, but yeah, hang on, let's get a connection with him first, please.
Okay. He's funny.
Yes, he can be, yeah. Okay. What does he think about his bank account being closed down? Why does he think that's happened?
It's a conspiracy. They're out to get me.
Why are they out to get you?
They hate my guts.
Why do they hate your guts?
Because, here you go. This is his own personal thought, feelings, and opinions, because I was the head of Brexit.
Right, there you go.
Do you have any evidence to support that? No, specifically, he says in the legal writing, there's no evidence within that, the letters or the documentation he received, but he says, I know that to be the case.
Well, there are thoughts going around that everybody you see, the problem with Brexit, it was never supposed to happen. The vote that was given to us was never supposed to, the Brits were never supposed to leave the EU. When the vote was originally given, made by David Cameron, the then Prime Minister of the UK, he did it on the basis that he thought that everybody would want to be in the EU. And I think this is what people don't understand. There's a huge difference between Europe and the European Union. The European Union, Europe is a bunch of individual countries. And I'm sure everybody wants to be, a part of that from the point of view of free trade and free travel. But the European Union is a completely different thing. At the top, it's a completely unelected bureaucracy. The commissioner, all the people on there are appointed. They're not voted on or anything. And they are very bad in what they've done over the past few years. And I think Farage noticed that and, wanted to get Britain out, along with quite a few others. But the problem is, of course, that that's exactly what happened. And I think we're now seeing the pushback on all of that. And I'll go into that a bit more in a minute. Let's ask him. Let's just hold him there a minute, Liz.
Okay.
Can you grab Coutts and Co. as an entity? It's a bank, private bank.
Yes. I've never heard of this bank. Okay, I have them.
Okay. Did they close? Are they in the process of closing Nigel Farage's account?
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait to get shot of him.
Why is that?
Why is that? Ooh, because he's responsible or partially responsible, they're saying, for us losing money. They've tanked.
Well, they actually lost money in the 2007-2008 financial crash. And unfortunately, they had to be bailed out by the British taxpayer. That's another case of capitalism for the rich, but socialism for the poor. If you go bust, you don't get bailed out. But this bank did. And the British taxpayer, I do believe still, the British government still own about 36% of this company.
Government still own 36%. It's lowered a little bit. I feel it's more around the 25 to 30 mark.
Okay. But the British government still own a shareholding. In other words, the British taxpayer, the British government, the British people still own a percentage of this bank. Okay, yeah. So they get rid of him and they think he's responsible for them losing money. How is one man responsible, an account holder, for Coutts and Co. losing money?
How is one man responsible for you losing money? How is he responsible? Because he spearheaded the campaign for Brexit. And
so because of Brexit, Coutts are losing money.
Yes.
So they haven't managed to rejig their business model over these last few years to suit the new reality?
No. Apparently, a lot of Europeans like to hide money in this bank in the UK.
Right.
And because of Brexit, I believe what they're saying is there's been a change in reporting standards. It's now no longer considered as sort of onshore banking. It's considered offshore banking for these wealthy Europeans. Therefore, they have closed their accounts and moved their money somewhere else. And you're talking thousands and thousands of clients. Now, when they ask about this, even though they understand it is due to Brexit, the UK pulling out of the European Union, that has caused these people to close their accounts. Where are they putting their money instead? They're putting it in France.
Right. Okay. All right. So if wealthy Europeans were hiding money in a British bank, Coutts, I mean, and now they're not doing that because of Brexit, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So the other problem is there was no liquidity.
Right.
Or very little liquidity.
Yeah, when people withdrawing their funds, that would lead to a lack of, a reduction in liquidity. That makes sense, yes.
But they had to borrow to give these people their money.
Well, that'll be down to their fractional reserve ratio then, which of course they've been like playing loose and hooky with them. So You know, they basically don't have the funds to match. Now that's the fault of the management of the bank, not the depositors, and certainly not Nigel Farage.
Right. But you know what it's like. People always have to have someone to blame.
All right.
The
But
management.
Nigel Farage was I mean, it's rumored he had about £1 million in there. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, for a bank the size of Coops, that's not a lot of money, really. So shutting this down is, you know, the money element is probably negligible. It's just that we've got you know, it's a revenge attack in a way, isn't it?
Well, it was a business account is what I'm getting. Now, I don't know too much about this, but
Right.
it was a business account, and they're saying, well, if we can't do business, neither can you.
Okay. So tit for tat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go back to Nigel again. It's rumored that Mr. Farage, Nigel Farage, some of his family members have also been targeted. Is this correct?
Believed to be targeted. They've received notices that this could happen to them, but it hasn't happened yet.
Could happen to them on what basis?
Their associations with him.
Right.
The other banks are saying, well, you know, they shut him down for a reason. They probably had some suspicious fraud activity, et cetera, et cetera. So therefore, you're associated with a potential crook, and we can't have that going on in our bank. It's too dangerous. The burden and the onus is now on the banks instead of the police and the government to investigate. They've passed the onus on to everyone else, the banks. And so the banking systems are saying, well, if you know, you could be related to or associated with a criminal.
Right. Okay.
Now, we understand this. We understand this. And why do we understand this, Liz? Well, I'll tell you. Because all of the platforms now, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, all of that, if you read their terms and conditions, A, they're so vague that they can shut you down for anything. But B, they do not have any esoteric psychic services on their accounts. They will not allow it on their platforms. And if they find out, you will get shut down. It doesn't matter that what you're doing is not illegal, right? You're legally allowed to operate. There's no law against psychics, alternative healers, BQH, QHHT, tarot card readers, you know, whatever, Reiki practitioners. But if you start, you know, ringing their alarm bells and the red flags are flying, they start investigating what you are actually doing, and you're honest with them and you say, well, I'm a Reiki practitioner. Guess what? You're getting shut down, kicked off the platform. That's what we're up against.
Is he aware of the Labour MP Chris Bryant, who last year used parliamentary privilege to claim that Mr. Farage was paid more than £500,000 by the Russian state through his appearance in Russia Today in 2018?
Okay, so let's break it down in simpler form. Chris Bryant,
a Labour MP, used parliamentary privilege, which meant that he said it in Parliament, so he cannot be sued. Anything you say in Parliament in the UK, whatever it is about whoever, you cannot be sued for libel. He's never repeated this claim outside Parliament, but he did a year ago. So he said that Farage had been paid £500,000 by the Russian state because he appeared on Russia Today in 2018.
He paid £500,000 by the Russian state? No, he wasn't paid £500,000 by the Russian state.
No, it does seem fancy. I mean, why would they pay him £500,000? You know. But anyway,
he got paid very little.
Like £5,000.
He paid £5,000. More like 30,
Okay. All right.
but
Well,
not 500,000 pounds. And I don't think he has any plans to do that ever again.
well, no, but I'm sure he doesn't. But so what? I mean, if Russia Today or RT or anybody wants to pay someone to go and talk on their platform, it's a commercial transaction. It doesn't matter. And at the time, there was no issue. I mean, they've paid other people. I'm sure Russia Today have paid other people to talk on there. Farage is not the only one. Okay.
Well, let's ask this question. So is that, did that transaction go through? Is it Coutts Bank?
Yeah.
Did that transaction go through? Yes, all the business transactions went through Coutts Bank. Do you believe that they picked up on that payment from Russia? Yeah, they know about the payment from Russia. That was years ago, he's saying. It's not now.
8 years ago.
Okay, it was years ago. And I have many payments from public appearances, talks, lectures, shows. Does he have a show?
Well, I think he's had various shows over many years. But yeah, I mean, he is a paid guy. People pay to have him on the show, to have his opinion. So just like you'd pay a Hollywood actor to act in a play or a movie, it's the same thing. He was paid to appear in various places, Russia Today being one of them. But I mean, he's been on numerous reports. He's been on GB News. I think he's even been on Sky, all sorts of things. Some he probably does for nothing, and some he gets paid for. I mean, so what? I mean,
so here's the deal. Okay, that makes sense to me. Because if he has nowhere to run his payments through on a business account, then he can't appear anywhere and get paid for it.
Right.
Have you tried other accounts, not outside of this bank? Yeah. And have they wanted to? No, they don't want to open an account for him either. Oh God, that's bad.
Right, but the banks probably, they probably all have some sort of blacklist that pretty much when you're banked with one, you're banked with all. Blocked with one, you're blocked with all.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could have a bank account outside the UK, so maybe, I don't know. His problem is I mean, that's how they've got him. It's not the fact that it's his personal account. He probably could get around that. It's like, how does he get compensated for work that he does? And if, like you say, if he can't be compensated, he can't work, and that's how they've got to him. Is he aware of the fact that just about everybody that was involved in Brexit now is no longer in a position? Boris Johnson gone, all these people, Liz Truss gone, all these people that were involved with Brexit, they've got rid of one way or another. Is he aware of that?
Yes, it's very apparent to him.
Yeah. So it's the British establishment or whoever, the closed ranks, and that's how they've got to him. They couldn't chase him out being an MP because he isn't one, so they've hit him in his ability to earn money. I mean, if he can command £30,000 an appearance, great.
Yeah, but they're also closing people down that were doing other things. It's not just him that's been closed down from banking.
Well, no, if you're on a sanctions list, you're automatically banned and barred from having an account. So, I mean, there's a thing here in the mail that you sent me. Building Society admits it's closing accounts of people who are rude or discriminate. I mean, at the end of the day, a private institution does have the right to say, who can and can't have an account with them at the end of the day. Right. There used to be something in the UK that you see, there's no right in the UK to have a bank account. That service originally was provided by the post office. If you couldn't get a bank account for whatever reason, the post office would give you an account. Yeah.
That's true, because I remember my grandparents had bank accounts through the post office. Their pensions went through the post office.
Right. But the problem is that that was stopped in whenever it was, I can't remember. Who did that?
And what you say about
yeah, it was privatized. The post office was privatized.
right.
And so because it was privatized, again, they just follow the privatized rules of we don't have to give you an account. You know, I mean, an airline does not have to let you on a plane. A train company doesn't have to let you on a train. A restaurant doesn't have to let you in a restaurant. You know, these are all private enterprises and it's up to them. I mean, obviously, if they stopped everybody going in, then their business would collapse. So it's not in their interest to do that.
Right.
But they are private businesses and they can do, you know, it's a bit like all the uproar over Twitter. Twitter now is a public business, a private business owned by Elon Musk. He decides who's going to go on there, what they're going to pay, and all these things. It's up to him, you know.
But the problem is we get closer to a cashless society, which we are doing every day. You will be canceled completely. You know as well as I do, and everybody listening, I don't care what country that you're all listening in from around the world. You have to have a bank account. You can't live anywhere without it. What do they want to see? We need proof of a bank account. We need proof of electric and water and basic utility bills. Well, you can't get those unless you have a bank account, right? I mean, you have to have a bank account. It's crazy. As we're getting closer to the cashless society, this is starting to sound like, I don't know. It's not looking good. And that, again, I refer to that cashless society video that you and I did, which is only out there for subscribers only, Patreon subscribers. If you're not on the Patreon, you're not getting all the videos. I know a lot of people are like, where's the geopolitical videos? Well, most of them are hidden behind the paywall of Patreon, patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond. But the closer we're getting to a cashless society, the more dangerous this is becoming. It's not good. So let's move the UK government out 10 years, okay? Sorry, Mr. Shakespeare, I'm taking over now. Let's go 10 years out. I don't even know. Listen, the whole holiday thing threw me off. I don't even know what day it is, what time it is. Okay, it's the 6th of July, 2023. So we want to take the UK government 6th of July, 2033, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Now, have you put laws in place that prevent banks from canceling individuals? No, they encourage banks to cancel individuals.
Why do they encourage banks to do that?
Why do you encourage banks to do that? Because it takes away a lot of their legwork, their resources, their investigations. They leave it up to the banks and they trust the banks to make that good decision. They no longer have the money or the manpower to police everybody in the UK. There is so much money laundering going in through the international banking system in the UK from all over the world. The UK government's telling me it's very well known to be a soft touch to launder money. So we can't keep up with this. We've put the onus on the banks. And I thought with all of this cancel culture, and I know it's been in the news, which is why we're doing this today. Liz, did you read the news? No. Liz, you're uninformed. I'm supposed to be. Go take a remote viewing course. That's how it works. But this right here, I thought, well, maybe the UK government will do something about this problem. No, they encourage it.
Okay, let's ask the UK government this if we're 10 years out. Currently, there is supposedly about, for various reasons, not just cancelled. So I must say that, not just being cancelled, maybe they don't want it, doesn't matter. There are apparently 1.3 million people in Britain who do not have a bank account. What is the number now, 10 years out?
What is the number of the UK people that have no bank account in the UK? It's very, very small. Maybe, what, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000.
Okay, so that's a positive, right? If there's 1.3 million now and there's only 300,000 then that's a good thing. That means that most people are banked.
Yes, but is it because they have to?
Well, why don't we ask?
Look, I know somebody who lived without a bank account and lived very well without a bank account, lived on the bare minimum. It was virtue, but lived very well. I don't think that these people are, let me ask. Okay, I'm not going to guesswork. What's the question?
Oh God, I've forgotten the question. What was I going to say?
Oh, gosh.
You
can't blame it on the early morning, Mr. Shakespeare, because it's afternoon your time.
Yeah, no. What was I going to say?
It was about the UK banks and the 300,000 that do not have bank accounts.
No, yeah, but I was responding to what you said, and you said maybe, because I said it was a good thing, we're going from 1.3 million approx to 300,000 approx who don't have banking, and then you said, well, maybe it's because they have to. So let's ask, and I was going to say, let's ask the question, is the reduction in the amount of people that are unbanked because people have to be banked for one reason? Let's do that first. Let's ask that question.
We require everyone in the UK to have a bank account.
Right.
So
why do they require it?
So we can track who's coming and going and what they're doing.
Right.
So they're using it as a tracking mechanism. It's not looking good. I swear, every time we do these probes, it's not looking good. Whew, I don't know.
Does that mean that the UK government have live access onto all the private banks' data?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
AI can do that, or what is deemed AI. I know there's discrepancy of the definition of what AI is and what AI isn't, but certainly they now have access to everyone's account. They can see, it's like an open door access into what, if they need to. Does that mean that you're looking into it? Yes, they are looking into it. What causes people to be flagged? So here we go. They're going to start copying what the US has done. The US now has a payment thing where if you get transfers of more than $600 into any payment platform, you have to account for where that's coming from. Are you running a business, et cetera, et cetera. Has that come into play in the UK? Yes, it's been here for a few years. So that is coming in the UK as well. All transactions over a very small amount, 500 pounds, I'm being told, will be tracked.
Right.
We're giving our lives away to online banking, online platforms. We're just giving ourselves away. Our freedom is eroding.
Right.
How do people avoid this? Is it throughout the whole of Europe? Mostly it's throughout the whole of Europe. You know, there's the thing in Europe where by law, you're not allowed in some countries to take cash payments over the amount of 1,200 euros because they want to track every payment that you're making. So therefore, Mr. Shakespeare, if you want to sell me a teacup and it's 1,205 euros, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm paying you cash. You're not allowed to do that by law. Does that mean it stops people? Not necessarily, but that's the law that's in place because they want to track every payment.
Right.
We're going to be tracked and traced. This aligns with that probe that we did. That was one of the scariest probes I think I've ever done. I talked to all sorts, aliens, the dark, you know, but the scariest probe I've ever done was the probe into a cashless society. Wow. Anything more from you, Mr. Shakespeare?
No, I think we've got to the bottom of the banking situation with Nigel Farage. So no, I think that's all good.
All right, we'll stop this one here. Wake up, everybody.